Just found out my 23 male best friend, 23 male, has been secretly dating my ex, 24 female, for months. Cassie and I had been together for 5 years at the time of this writing. We started dating in high school and continued to date throughout college, ultimately relocating to the same city as one another after graduation. I've had emotions for her since before we ever went on a date together. She's just wonderful. I still think this to be true. We were talking about the possibility of getting married and starting a family in the near future. A few months later, Cassie expressed a desire to talk, called me into her room, and informed me that she had made the decision not to have children. She didn't just say not now, but she said never again. She spoke about overpopulation, climate change, and other difficulties, and I couldn't help but feel depressed. I've always dreamed of being a parent. My father was a jerk, and this is something I've wanted to do since I was a youngster myself. It's time for me to do something about it. When she had finished speaking, I told her that the job was completed, even though I was already weeping when she started to screw it. What more can I do if she doesn't want the same things that I want for the future as she does now? She said that she had been thinking along these lines for years, and that Corona was the last straw in her decision. Because she may or may not change her mind, I'm not going to sit here and wait for her to do so. Consequently, I resigned my job and moved in with Ryan, my closest friend. From the time we were children, connecting over Pokémon cards on the playground, we've been friends. He's essentially my brother, and his mother served as an extra mother to me while I was growing up since I didn't have much support at home. In my haste to leave, I didn't bring much with me. I didn't want to return to the apartment and face Cassie, but Ryan was being a kind friend by going out to get me everything I needed whenever I needed it. To put it another way, that's exactly what I imagined he was doing. My and Cassie's 6th wedding anniversary would have been yesterday, and it had been a very terrible day for me. So I told Ryan that I didn't want to be alone and that I wanted to hang out and play video games with him all day. The man consented and agreed to everything, but he was always distracted by his phone. And after a few hours, he excused himself by saying something came up and walked away. It was starting to become dark outside. I'm not ashamed to say that I shed a few tears. For a number of reasons, I didn't want to be alone on that particular day. Finally, Ryan returned home after midnight last night, and he was acting oddly, so I went up to him and asked what was going on. Because his mother works as a teacher at a newly reopened school, I thought she was unwell or somehow incapacitated. Ryan, on the other hand, invites me to sit down and assures me that he would be departing shortly after. Since we ended our relationship a few weeks ago, he's been secretly seeing Cassie. He says that they are already in love and that she needs his presence more than I do, and as a result, he is moving in with her and leaving me to fester here. I have absolutely no clue how the heck I am supposed to absorb this. I'm not sure which of them has had the most impact on me. To make things worse, I texted a few of our other friends this morning to let them know what was going on, only to find out that they were already aware of the situation. When I voiced my dissatisfaction, they all responded by saying it was no big deal, since I was the one who ended my relationship with Cassie. What am I expected to do at this point? It has been years since my ex tore up my heart. My best friend trod on it, and the closest thing I have to family is no longer there since they were also his family. I am unable to communicate with my friends. I'm at a loss for what to do next and don't know where to start. In light of the recent developments, I guess there are worse things to worry about than my broken heart. Ryan sent me a text message. As a consequence of a pandemic, I will be forced to live on the streets. Story 2. I found out my mom was cheating on my dad for years. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now, but I need some advice. I am 18, a senior in high school, and I live with my father. My parents, 53 female, 62 male, divorced 2 years ago. I was never informed what caused the separation at first. It was difficult for me, but I never felt compelled to. My mother's sole explanation for this was that people grow apart. My parents, who are still not divorced but live apart, opted to maintain a cordial connection via periodic meals and holidays. I always thought it was strange, but I was pleased that they would set aside their conflicts for my sake. My parents are both immigrants, and I've always spent more time with my mother's family since many of them reside nearby. Prior to discovering the genuine cause for the divorce, I spoke with relatives on my mother's side about the breakup, and a recurring theme was that they were completely supportive of my father, no matter what. I didn't put it together at the time, but thinking about it now makes me upset with myself. Fast forward approximately 4 days, and we're having dinner with my father when we come into a discussion between him and my mother. He casually mentions my mother having an affair, and although I was surprised, I proceeded as if I knew. I continued asking for some reason. My father is never one to be mean behind someone's back, but with just a little information, I discovered that my mother had 2 lovers over the span of 8 years. I recall going to a nearby park to sit and reflect before weeping my eyes out for 2 hours. I'm upset not just at my mother for lying to us, but also with myself for not figuring it out sooner. My mother's adultery has discredited years of family events for me. I spoke with several of my mother's siblings and learned a lot more that I won't get into now. All of them have been very helpful and essential to me. My mother announced to me a week ago, just before Christmas, that she had a new partner whom she wanted me to meet and have supper with his children. I said that I was not comfortable nor interested in meeting them at this time. My mother described me as haughty. Knowing everything just adds to the pain and makes my blood boil. I am an adult, but I'm still financially reliant on them, and I'm not sure how to approach my mother. I feel deceived and want to scold her, but I won't since I care about my father and the divorce process. What should I say? Story 3. My 31 female, GF 31 female, just broke up with me. I just lost my job a few days before Christmas. She was incredibly sympathetic and assured me that everything will be okay. I spent Christmas Eve with her, and everything appeared to go swimmingly. Because she's a firefighter, I went up to the station for dinner and to hang out. On Christmas Day, I got drunk and phoned her. She was still on shift, and I was. This isn't the first time this has occurred, but it's not something that happens on a regular basis. I was depressed since I had lost my job, had no family, and had lost everything. The day after I went over to her home, she told me how I made her feel, and I apologized. It was a gloomy day, but it appeared like we were working through it. She spent the day with one of her closest friends the day before, and she saw her other best buddy today. She appeared distant both days and didn't contact me much. I assumed she had dinner arrangements for tonight, but when she said she didn't, I asked if she wanted to join me for dinner. She said that she was not hungry, but would want to hang around. When she arrived, she sat on my bed with her arms crossed, telling me about her 2 pals, one of whom is getting married in a few months and the other who is seeing someone who is essentially exploiting him. She paused for a long time, and I just leaned over, stroked her elbow, and asked if she was all right. She said that she feels distant and that we are just friends. She claims that she never has long-lasting relationships, that I'm a wonderful person, and she doesn't believe it's fair for me to feel that way. On her off days, she claims to be depressed. I wish I had taped it so I could tell you more about it. I immediately hated myself for being fired and phoning drunk. She said that she needed time to cope with her own issues. Of course, I can't help but assume it's about me. I just do not want to lose her. I'm concerned that she believes I rely on her, which may be frightening to her. We don't live together, we don't have any financial links, and we don't even reside in the same city. She said that she wishes for me to be a friend in her life. I want to be her buddy, but even more than that, I want to be her person. I simply don't know how to go about right now. I realize the quick solution is to give her time, but in any case, but what am I to do?